So as part of the 7-day campaign for new players, they have this mission in here where it's like reach CP of 27,000. That one kind of caught me back a little bit because I was like, I'm at like 23, right? And so I wanted to kind of show you, there's also one in here for I think 15 or something, but I didn't really have any trouble with that. But I wanted to show you guys some general tips and tricks and things that I did to help me increase and just make my team stronger overall, because that's all it really boils down to, is just making your team stronger. And that's how you guys can also get this free ticket that we will end the video opening as well. So I hope you guys enjoy. Make sure you subscribe, especially if this video is helpful for you. About 80% of viewers aren't currently subscribed, so make sure you stay tuned for more content like this, and we'll have gameplay, showcases, all that stuff, especially as I get my account built up. How are you guys liking the game, by the way? I want to know your criticisms of the game or things you aren't enjoying as much, or that you are, and I'll probably come back into a community response video. And if you want to be featured in that video, post down below. So CP. So what is the current CP, or what that means in this game at this point? So if we go in here and we go to the main story quest, basically what it is it's an approximation of what your team's overall power is. It's not, quick note, it's not an indicator of how good your team is, because that's an entire thing altogether. For the record, this also goes up if you put in a form sister in there. I don't think this changes that mission though. But anyway, it's basically an approximation of your team. It doesn't account for what your characters are actually doing, and so that's the most important thing. Yeah, you may be below the recommended number down at the bottom, but that'll allow you to punch up pretty big. I've beaten some content that's like over 40,000 already because of the fact that my team has good synergy. I've got debuffers, I've got different things that I'm running on different setups, and I switch my characters a decent bit depending on what I'm trying to do. But at the end of the day, that's the most important thing. So don't worry too much about the flat number. The only reason to worry about it is, you know, the topic of today's video, completing that mission objective. So let's go ahead and take a look at the ways you can enhance that. So basically, enhancing your team is extremely straightforward on the surface. It's just enhancing your characters, enhancing your recollection bits. And when it comes to enhancing characters, you're going to enhance their techniques, the levels of their techniques or skills, the actual grade of the character, the level cap will go up as well. Like, there's a number of things you can do. Also, side note, I believe that rank, as you work on the rank of the characters, this will, I know for a fact this gives them extra stats. And so I'm pretty sure that will also improve the CP. So keep that in mind too. As you're going to see, as I claim this for Kaito, he's going to get some stats extra here. Level 5. He got those extra stats, 135 HP, blah, blah. So I'm pretty sure that does help, but it's a very marginal thing probably, as it's kind of like a slow burn process there. We're going to talk more about stat increases in a moment, but on a similar topic, I'm pretty sure that raising the player rank also helps, because it increases the extra stats for these characters that are in these target groups. And you also get bonuses for it. So keep that in mind too, that it should be something that becomes easier as you go. Now, easier as you go is a little bit of a tricky subject, because ultimately it's kind of hard to raise your character levels. So I want to say that the most important, and by the way, these are also hard to level, the most important thing in my opinion to work on is going to be recollection bits. So these are basically equipment for your characters, right? And we're going to talk about characters in a bit, because they do obviously play a big role in this. But the reason why I would put the focus here is because of the fat stat gain. I mean, look at the stats that are being applied by non-standard right below the level. Currently, nearly 40% to the curse technique, and then 13% to HP. So aside from what the skill actually does, by the way, you do want to put it on a character that it can synergize with those stat gains. For example, this one has physical. Maybe you don't have a character that does any physical attacks. So anyway, that being said, this is a huge bonus. So leveling these up is massive for you. It's just, like I said, pretty resource intensive, kind of hard to do. So I'm going to push this up by 2 levels, and you guys are going to see it's going to raise these up to basically closer to 40 there, and then 1330. So that does help. And then obviously as you go, you unlock more limit breaks and stuff if you get dupes of them, etc. And that non-standard is officially finished for now for me. Now, I put an emphasis on that, but let's go ahead and go over to enhanced characters here. And this is the next thing I want to tell you. It's probably, so you may or may not be doing this. It's probably easier just to recommend that you don't put everything into Gojo, for the record. You want Gojo big. You want him to be probably the biggest character on your team. That's fine, but you need other characters, unless you've just got like some crazy whale stuff going on. You really need other characters to have heavy investments too. It can't just be one character. And so ultimately it's deciding which characters are the best for that. For me, I have some characters I invested in to try to see if I can make them work or to see if they would work for content for me. Like I'm not really enjoying Junpei all too much, or the Inumaki SSR, I'm not really liking him, but I do like the R Inumaki, R Kaito, and all the other characters I've leveled up have gotten great use out of, the SRs in particular, obviously the DPS characters 1 and 2. But don't put everything into one character because you need to invest in other characters. Now, when it comes to investing, well, level enhancements are kind of insane. Like, the amount of cubes it requires to take a character that's like beyond level 65 or so up even one level is kind of crazy. The amount of orbs, these orange orbs here, the amount of orbs it takes to take a character up even one level at this point, I could take another random character from level 1 to like level 55 or something stupid like that. Like it's kind of crazy. So definitely keep that in mind. You don't want to go all in on levels. As you see, that does matter. It does help. It's not something I'm going to tell you isn't the case, right? You are getting the stat bonuses, and ultimately the stats are going to be reflected in the CP if that wasn't clear. So let's take a look here at grade enhancement. And this is what I think is the most important thing with the characters, because regardless of whether or not you're completing these grades entirely, as you complete these individual nodes, the characters are getting flat stats added. As you see, each one of these is going to add stats to the character to varying degrees. And so grading up the character, regardless of the level, is already adding a ton of stats to the character, which is also, again, if it wasn't fully clear, going to help with the CP. So skill enhancement too, this will help with CP too. So Gojo's CP is 7434. I'm going to push a skill up just because I can. And I just want to see what the number jumps to with this. 7581, right? 7581. I'll push him a level too. 7581. That'll go up to 7637. Can I do a grade? I can't right now. I'm not going to worry too much about that, but we probably can for another character. Just one node, literally one node game. Just one. Okay, cool. So 2598 is currently where we are with Inumaki. I'll unlock just this one. And I assume that it's not going to be a huge boost for one. 26, 30, so what is that? Like 25? Bad math, but probably 25 in that area. But that was just for one. Right? So like, obviously, if you're doing a bunch of these, this is going to add up a lot over time. So I do think that's where most of the value is, if you're not able to really just constantly level characters, because like I said, it's really hard to level characters a lot after a certain point. So to recap, quick note on the rank and the character overall rank, like your account rank. I don't know if those two things individually, I assume that they do. I have operated with that premise. I don't know if they specifically do or not, but other than that, recollection bits and the actual character are the most important in my opinion. Does the recollection bit show its own power? It does not. So what I want to do actually is we're going to go into a stage, and I'll just start off with Gojo only. And we're at 8285. I'll put on the non-standard, and we jump up 3,000 roughly. So that's just one, right? So like, it's a very, so obviously the character was putting in more, but it's a very easy way to do that. And here's my last little tip for you. You may have done something similar to me, where I thought my team's power, because the team I was using was about 24-ish. I thought that was my overall best team's power, but as you guys saw, I do have some pretty scattered investment on some of the other characters. And so hitting quick formation actually showed me my true strongest team. And I'll just do all this stuff. Like, it doesn't really matter much, right? Showed me my true strongest team, and it's currently 28. So that triggered the mission for me, because I thought I was still a couple thousand away, and I just did that as a test, and it showed me my true strongest team, all my strongest stuff all together. And maybe that'll help you too. Maybe you've got something similar to me where you've got scattered investment, which I don't really recommend. Like, I don't recommend going tall on one character, obviously, but I don't recommend investing in as much as I have. You really want to isolate it down because it's hard to do. But yeah, maybe that's something that's happened to you, so keep that in mind as well. Anyways, I hope you all enjoyed this video, and with Yuta coming out soon, there is a huge emphasis on cubes. And so in just a moment after we do our pull, I forgot to do our pull, let me just hold that thought, just hold that cubes thought, right? Hopefully we get something here. I actually don't really care what I get. I would like to get a character I don't have, almost like Yuji. I would like to get Yuji just for collection. But I wouldn't mind if it's like a dupe of somebody I use. Wait, who is this? Is this Maki? Oh, it's Nobara. Okay, I couldn't tell by the voice. I don't have my headphones on, and I haven't seen the text line enough to know. So actually, that's good. That's good because it'll show me the benefit of a dupe. Notice I didn't really talk much about dupes because I wasn't also sure. 3477. We're gonna give her the dupe, which by the way, I'm pretty sure it's gonna be pretty substantial because it's adding 25%. That's kind of crazy. What is it? I wanted to see the skill here, but what is this? It's just the co-op ultimates the entire time, right? Yeah, it is. It just continually raises stats and cooperative ultimates. Okay, so she's at 3477. She's gonna jump a good bit from this, huh? 3477 up to 43. So she jumped a decent bit from a dupe. So that's another cheat code. Getting a dupe on is going to be super duper, pun intended, super duper useful for your team overall. That is going to help tremendously. Where was that strongest team at? Yeah, it's at 30,000 now. Adding in that same exact team that we saw a moment ago. Added in about 1,000 rough math. All right. So anyway, back to the cube thing. With Jujutsu coming out, cubes are extremely important. And so, and by the way, dupes are also important, as you saw. Adding 1,000 or so for a dupe is going to be a big cheat code. If you kind of whale in this game, you're going to get high CP pretty fast. With dupes being important, with Yuta being important, all that stuff, cubes, right? So I did a video where I covered the best locations and how to get cubes in this game that you're not going to want to miss. It is currently clickable on the screen, so make sure you do that. I'll see you there.